I want you to put yourself in a very specific, a very high-stakes scenario. And honestly, if you drive an electric vehicle, or even if you're just, thinking about making the switch, this is probably the exact scenario that plays out in the back of your mind.
Oh, yeah. The absolute worst case scenario.
Right. Every single time you take a long road trip. So imagine you are on the highway, it's late, maybe there's a torrential downpour
Yeah,
outside.
truly. It's always raining in these scenarios.
Exactly. So you've got the wipers going on full speed, the heat is blasting to keep the windshield clear, and you suddenly realize you completely miscalculated the distance to the next charging plaza.
That stomach drop feeling.
Yes. You glance down at the dashboard display, right? And the battery percentage is in the red. It ticks down to 2%, then 1%, and then the dreaded 0. The power steering just suddenly goes heavy in your hands. A cascade of warning chimes fills the cabin.
Just ding, ding, ding.
Right. And your vehicle essentially just goes into this self-preservation coma.
Right.
You roll to a stop on the gravel shoulder. Outside your window, semi-trucks are whipping past at like 70 miles an hour, shaking the entire car. You are completely, utterly stranded.
It's terrifying.
So what is your very next move?
It really is a profoundly isolating feeling, isn't it? And, the psychology of a breakdown, it completely shifts when you're in an EV versus an old gas car.
Oh, totally.
Because for decades, that stranded feeling really only had one standard resolution.
Right, you just call it tow truck.
Exactly. You pull out your phone, you call for a traditional tow truck, and you emotionally prepare yourself to lose the entire afternoon sitting in the cab of some flatbed truck.
Smelling like diesel fuel.
Right. But the reality of that old solution is precisely what we are unpacking today.
Yeah, because we were looking at the birth of a radically different approach to roadside assistance. For today's deep dive, we've got a stack of service blueprints, pricing sheets, and network overviews from a completely new breed of companies.
Operations with names like EE Rescue, MoPower2U, and Vancouver Mobile EV Charging.
Right. And the mission of our deep dive today is to really understand how the century-old concept of, getting a jump is being completely reinvented from the ground up for the electric vehicle era.
And setting the broader context here is just so crucial, because this isn't just about a few clever local businesses offering a neat little service.
Right. It's way bigger than that.
Right. As electric vehicles have saturated our major transportation corridors, a totally new, massive infrastructure problem has emerged. We are seeing a rising epidemic of what you might call charger deserts.
Like public charging stations that are either completely dead, out of network, or just bogged down by like 3-hour queues.
Exactly, and that leads directly to a massive spike in stranded drivers. So what we are examining today is the birth of an entirely new nationwide industry designed to solve EV range anxiety on the fly.
Yeah.
It is a fundamental shift from relying on stationary, fixed infrastructure to utilizing dynamic mobile infrastructure.
Dynamic infrastructure. I think that perfectly captures it. Because taking a traditional heavy-duty tow truck and sending it to rescue a dead electric vehicle is kind of like it's like calling a plumber to come over and fix a computer virus on your laptop.
That is an amazing analogy.
Right. It's just the wrong tool entirely. It's a brute force mechanical solution being applied to what is essentially a software and chemical energy problem. The old tools simply do not fit the new technology.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize the friction here. And what's truly fascinating when you dive into these sources is the sheer level of mechanical liability involved in that mismatch.
Oh, the liability is insane.
Right. When you look at the operational differences between mobile EV charging and traditional towing, the sheer vulnerability of a stranded EV becomes immediately apparent.
Yeah, because the physics of the car dictate a totally different rescue protocol.
You simply cannot hook an EV up to a standard tow truck and drag it down the road with its wheels spinning on the pavement.
Okay, let's really dig into the mechanics of that, because for me, this was a brilliant aha moment in the research.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
With an old internal combustion engine, if the engine dies, a tow truck driver can just, put the car in neutral, lift the front 2 wheels into the air, leave the back 2 wheels rolling on the asphalt, and just drag you 20 miles to a mechanic.
Done and dusted.
Exactly. Why is that seemingly simple act an absolute death sentence for an electric vehicle?
Well, it really comes down to how EV drivetrains are fundamentally engineered compared to gas cars.
Right.
A gas car has a transmission with a true physical neutral gear, right? That gear physically disconnects the wheels from the engine.
Like it separates the metal parts.
Exactly. But in most electric vehicles, there is no transmission in that traditional sense. The
No.
electric motors are directly, permanently connected to the wheels.
Okay, so they're always locked together.
Right. So if you drag an EV down the highway with its wheels spinning on the ground, those internal motors are being forced to turn,
Even if the car is dead.
even if it's dead. And here's where regenerative braking comes in. When you force an electric motor to turn, it acts as a generator. It literally starts creating electricity.
Wait, really? So the car is completely dead, the main systems are offline, but just because the wheels are being dragged by a tow truck, the car is unknowingly generating massive amounts of power.
Precisely. And because the car's main computer is off, that electricity has nowhere to go.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The battery management system isn't awake to actively route it safely into the battery cells, so that generated power just builds up in the closed loop of the drivetrain.
Like a pressure cooker.
Exactly. It can severely overheat the motor coils, fry the incredibly complex and sensitive power inverters, and basically completely destroy the drivetrain within just a few miles of being towed.
You are essentially turning your own dead car into a rogue, uncontrolled power plant that is just like electrocuting its own internal organs.
That is exactly what happens. It's a closed-loop disaster. And this catastrophic risk is why every single EV manufacturer strictly mandates that their vehicles must be towed on a flatbed truck.
Right. All four wheels have to be completely immobilized and off the ground.
Correct. But here's the kicker. Even the flatbed solution comes with massive anxiety-inducing risks.
Well, yeah, because getting a 5,000-pound completely dead vehicle up onto a tilted metal ramp requires winching. You have
Well,
to physically drag it up an incline.
And if the tow operator is rushed or, maybe they're just inexperienced with your specific make and model.
Which happens all the time.
Right. And if they don't attach the heavy metal winch hooks to the exact specialized anchor points on the frame.
They risk tearing right into the undercarriage.
Exactly. And what makes up the entire floorboard and undercarriage of an electric vehicle?
The battery pack.
Yeah.
Which is basically a giant skateboard made of highly volatile chemistry, and it just happens to be the single most expensive component of the entire car.
Absolutely. A scrape, a dent, or heaven forbid, a puncture to that battery enclosure during the flatbed loading process isn't just a minor cosmetic repair.
Right, it's not like scratching a muffler.
No, it can trigger a thermal event, a fire. And even if it doesn't spark a fire, it will likely void the entire warranty of the vehicle.
Oh, wow. So you're talking about a potential replacement cost of, what, $15,000 to $20,000 just because a tow hook slipped half an inch?
Easily. The operational blueprints for these new mobile charging companies heavily emphasize this flatbed loading risk and what they term undignified undercarriage handling.
Undignified undercarriage handling.
I know, it's a great phrase.
It sounds like something you complain about after a terrible trip to the doctor.
It really does.
Yeah.
But they list that as the primary pain point they are eliminating.
It perfectly describes the anxiety, though, of watching a tow driver blindly fish around under your brand new car with a massive steel hook.
Oh, it's nerve-wracking.
And it really highlights how beautifully simple the old gas paradigm was. I mean, if a gas car runs out of fuel, a guy in a pickup truck pulls over, pours a single gallon of liquid from a $5 plastic jug into a hole on the side of your car, and you drive away.
It's so straightforward.
Right. The problem is physically solved in 3 minutes. But an EV requires a complex, highly regulated transfer of electrical energy.
And that fundamental difference is why towing an EV isn't just a logistical inconvenience, it is a massive mechanical liability.
Right.
That liability is the catalyst for this entire industry shift. The mobile charging model is a profound paradigm shift because it bypasses the physical relocation of a heavily laden vehicle entirely.
You don't move the car at all.
Exactly. It keeps the car exactly where it's stalled. There are no steel cables, no tilted ramps, no dragging. It nullifies all that potential warranty voiding damage.
Let's paint a picture of how wildly different this new experience is for the driver. Just think about the traditional flatbed tow on a busy, chaotic highway.
Okay, yeah.
You've likely been waiting for 2 hours. Finally, this massive, noisy, diesel-belching flatbed truck arrives. And because of its sheer size, it has to block an entire active lane of highway traffic just to angle its ramp correctly.
Adding to the danger.
Exactly. The operator is out there in the rain, aggressively winching your delicate, expensive computer on wheels up a steep metal incline while cars swerve around you.
It's a nightmare.
And then, to top it all off, they take your car completely away from your intended route, depositing it at some remote charging station. Or worse, a depressing tow yard where you might incur overnight storage fees. It is a highly stressful, thoroughly unpleasant ordeal.
Now, compare that to the mobile charge experience detailed by these new roadside services. You're on the shoulder.
Yeah.
A nimble, standard-sized commercial van.
Like an Amazon delivery vehicle.
Exactly like that. It pulls up directly behind you. It stays completely inside the shoulder, blocking absolutely no traffic.
Oh, that's a huge difference right there.
Huge. The technician steps out, walks over with a standard charging cable, plugs it directly into your port, and you literally just sit there.
You don't even have to get out of the car.
Nope. You stay in your own driver's seat, out of the rain, listening to your own radio or making phone calls, while the car drinks up enough electrons to get you to the next exit. It turns an emergency extraction into a minor delay.
Okay, now, I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure, go for it.
Because I am putting myself back in that dangerous scenario we started with. I am stuck on a narrow shoulder, visibility is terrible, and semi-trucks are flying by.
Right.
Isn't it just fundamentally safer to get the car out of that hazard zone as fast as possible? I mean, isn't it better to be completely removed from the highway via a tow truck rather than sitting on the side of the road for 30 to 40 minutes waiting for a battery to charge?
It's a very logical question, and it really comes down to a realistic assessment of time and risk.
Okay.
Yes, sitting on a highway shoulder has inherent unavoidable risks, but you have to factor in the actual dispatch timeline.
How long it takes them to get to you.
Exactly. A traditional heavy-duty flatbed tow truck, especially one equipped to handle a specialized EV without damaging it, can easily take an hour or two to be dispatched and actually arrive.
Right. Especially during peak traffic or bad weather.
Exactly. You are going to be sitting on that dangerous shoulder for a very long time either way. The data coming out of these mobile charging networks indicates that their units, because they are smaller, more numerous, and highly localized, often have vastly superior response times.
Well, yeah, because it's a lot easier to navigate a standard Ford Transit van through rush hour traffic than a 30-foot flatbed truck.
Exactly. And once they do arrive, the mitigation of risk is almost instantaneous.
Because they're not blocking a lane.
Right. There is no complicated 30-minute winching process where the driver is standing out in traffic. The van simply parks behind you, acting as a high-visibility, heavy-duty buffer vehicle with flashing lights between you and the oncoming traffic.
So it shields you.
Exactly. The technician plugs you in within 30 seconds, and you are safely enclosed in your vehicle while it charges.
So the mechanical danger of dragging the motors, the warranty risks of the battery pack, and the sheer logistical nightmare of urban towing, all of that, aggregated to create a massive market vacuum.
A huge gap in the market.
Right. The traditional infrastructure totally failed the new technology. And to understand how that vacuum is actually being filled, we have to look at the regional pioneers who realized the solution wasn't finding better ways to move the car, but rather finding ways to bring the power directly to the people.
And that geographic genesis takes us directly to the Pacific Northwest, specifically the entire ecosystem surrounding the Interstate 5 corridor.
The I-5 corridor. This is where we look at companies like Mopower2U and Vancouver Mobile EV Charging.
Yes.
The geographic footprint they've established is fascinating because we aren't talking about one isolated guy waiting by a single off-ramp with a battery in his trunk.
No, not at all.
Mopower2U covers an expansive 130-plus mile stretch of the I-5 corridor. They started out covering Portland, Oregon, up to Centralia, Washington, but the demand has pushed them to actively expand north up to Joint Base Lewis McChord and Olympia, and south all the way down into Salem, Oregon.
It's a massive coverage area, and operating seamlessly within that exact same broader ecosystem is Vancouver Mobile EV Charging.
Right.
They boast a very dense, highly localized 45-mile rescue radius centered directly on Vancouver, Washington. But within that radius, they are servicing over 28 different cities across Clark County and the greater Portland metro area.
28 cities.
Yeah. They are covering everywhere from Washougal and Ridgefield all the way down into the dense tech corridors of Hillsborough, Tigard, and Lake Oswego.
It is a highly coordinated metropolitan web of power delivery. But the part of this that I find truly brilliant is the origin story of Mopower to You.
Oh, it's such a great story.
Because they didn't start out as car mechanics or tow truck drivers.
Not at all.
They were founded back in 2018 as a veteran-owned business, and their original product.
Get this.
They were providing portable solar panels and high-capacity battery banks for mobile devices. They were literally charging laptops and smartphones.
It's a perfect example of adaptive business evolution. They recognized a macro behavioral pattern very early on. Human beings increasingly require uninterrupted power on the go.
Always connected.
Always. And as the I-5 corridor rapidly became one of the most EV-dense regions in the country, they witnessed this new, scaled-up problem of stranded drivers, so they executed a flawless pivot.
A brilliant pivot.
They simply took their core competency, mobile power delivery, and multiplied the voltage.
Right.
They traded in their tiny 5-volt USB cables for high-output 240-volt EV connectors. They scaled the wattage requirement from a half-pound smartphone to a 5,000-pound vehicle.
I just love looking at business pivots like that. To me, Mopower to You, going from charging cell phones to rescuing electric vehicles, is like a company that started out selling simple garden hoses for your backyard. And then one day, they look at a massive building on fire and realize, wait, the fundamental physics of delivering water to a dry spot is exactly the same. We just need a much bigger hose and a pressurized truck.
Exactly.
It is the exact same underlying logic of energy transfer, just exponentially scaled up to meet the demands of an emergency.
That's a fantastic analogy. The core problem, a lack of energy exactly where it's needed, remain identical. Only the magnitude changed. And by treating EV rescue as a power delivery problem rather than a vehicle transportation problem, the operational metrics they've achieved are staggering.
Like what? Give me the numbers.
Well, Mopower to You is hitting an average response time of roughly 8 minutes.
Wait, really? 8 minutes?
8 minutes.
I mean, it takes me longer to get a cup of coffee at a drive-thru than it takes for them to arrive and start rescuing your car. In the roadside assistance industry, an 8-minute response time is almost miraculous.
It really is unheard of.
Yeah.
And that speed is coupled with significant economic efficiency. The total out-of-pocket cost for the consumer drops dramatically.
Because you're not paying for a massive tow truck.
Right. While a quick roadside boost obviously costs less than a comprehensive long-distance flatbed extraction that involves, tow yard storage fees and subsequent mechanical inspection.
Which can run into thousands of dollars.
Exactly. The overall reduction in consumer friction and financial burden is just massive. You are essentially paying for targeted electrical triage rather than a heavy machinery relocation service.
And the versatility is what makes it so ubiquitous. I mean, these service plans aren't just hovering around the highway shoulders waiting for a disaster.
No, they go everywhere.
They are driving right into dense apartment complexes. They are navigating sprawling, multi-level corporate parking garages where a tow truck physically couldn't even fit due to ceiling height restrictions.
Oh, that's a great point. Tow trucks can't get into parking garages.
Never. They're even rescuing EVs at car rental lots where tourists have completely drained the battery and have no idea how to charge the car they just rented.
It happens more than you'd think.
I bet.
And the strategic choice of the Pacific Northwest as the primary testing ground for this model is no accident.
Why there?
The I-5 corridor features a unique confluence of factors: aggressive state-level environmental policies, a highly eco-conscious demographic, and consequently, one of the highest densities of early EV adoption in North America.
Ah, so it was the perfect laboratory.
Exactly. It provided the perfect crucible to prove that this specific mobile charging business model wasn't just a novelty, but a scalable necessity.
Okay, I'm with you on the business model.
Yeah.
Delivering power anywhere to an apartment complex, a parking garage, or a highway shoulder sounds incredibly convenient in theory.
It is.
But we have to deal with the actual physics of the situation. An electric vehicle battery is a massive, incredibly energy-hungry chemical vault. It requires immense amounts of electricity.
It really does.
Which raises the unavoidable question about the hardware itself. How in the world are these nimble little standard commercial vans generating enough sheer voltage to pump life into a stranded EV in just 20 or 30 minutes?
And this is where we look at the actual technological backbone powering these different vendors across the country. It all centers around a specific piece of specialized equipment called the EV Hero RH9K.
The EV Hero RH9K. I have to admit, digging into the engineering of this machine in the source material was fascinating.
It's a very clever piece of tech.
The specs on this thing are formidable. It provides 9 kilowatts of continuous power, and it can surge to peak at 11 kilowatts.
Yeah.
Crucially, it delivers standard AC Level 2 charging.
And that distinction of level 2 charging is the critical sweet spot for this entire industry.
Break that down for us. Why Level 2?
Well, you have level 1 charging, which is essentially plugging your car into a standard 120-volt wall outlet in your living room.
Right.
That would take 2 or 3 entire days to charge a modern EV from empty, which is completely useless for a roadside rescue.
You'd be living on the shoulder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have DC fast charging, which can charge a car in 30 minutes but requires massive grid-tied industrial infrastructure costing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You can't put that in a van.
No. Level 2 provides enough substantial power to give a car a meaningful range boost, say 10 to 15 miles of range, in roughly 30 minutes without requiring a semi-truck to carry the equipment.
And speaking of carrying the equipment, the physical form factor of the Ev-Road Hero is surprisingly compact.
It really is.
It weighs right around 200 pounds. It measures 29 inches by 29 inches by 29 inches. It's essentially just a 2.5-foot cube.
You don't need a heavy-duty commercial truck for this.
No. You could easily strap this into the back of a standard minivan or a basic pickup truck with plenty of room left over for tools and cones. It runs at a 64 dBA noise level.
Which is very quiet.
Yeah, that's barely louder than the hum of a normal conversation, meaning you can run it in a residential neighborhood at midnight without waking anyone up.
It's a huge advantage.
It's got an electric start and a brilliant automatic shutoff system if it detects dangerous levels of carbon monoxide in an enclosed space.
Safety first. Furthermore, its compatibility is completely universal. It utilizes the standard SAE J1772 connector protocol, and it includes the standard NACS adapter.
NACS, that's a Tesla plug, right?
Exactly, the North American Charging Standard. This means it doesn't matter what the customer is driving. Whether it's a legacy automaker transitioning to EVs, a brand new electric truck startup, or the most common electric sedans on the road, the technician has the adapter.
They can charge anything.
Right. It completely eliminates the fragmentation of the public charging network where certain cars can only use certain brand-specific stations.
We cannot avoid the elephant in the room here. We have to talk about what is actually inside that 29-inch cube generating all that power.
Yes, we do.
Because it's wild.
The Ev-Road Hero RH9K is fundamentally a gasoline-powered combustion engine. It relies on a standard 6.1-gallon liquid fuel tank.
It is a gas generator.
Yes, it is.
I mean, just pause and think about the sheer irony of that for a second. To save a stranded, technologically advanced, zero-emissions electric vehicle, these cutting-edge tech rescue companies are pulling up and utilizing a gasoline-powered internal combustion engine.
It's true.
The irony is just, it's thicker than smog. Isn't it completely counterintuitive? I keep wondering, do EV drivers feel a pang of intense environmental guilt when a literal gas engine fires up and starts revving to charge their pristine, eco-friendly car?
I'm sure some do.
Or is the sheer adrenaline-fueled relief of not being dragged away by a flatbed tow truck enough to override any cognitive dissonance?
I think it's the latter. It is arguably the ultimate irony of the green transition.
Oh, absolutely.
On a purely conceptual level, it feels like a massive step backward. You are burning fossil fuels to power a vehicle designed to eliminate fossil fuels.
Right.
But if you look at it strictly through the lens of physics, logistics, and emergency management, it makes perfect, undeniable sense. It all boils down to one fundamental scientific concept: energy density.
Okay, let's break down energy density because I think people intuitively understand it. But seeing how it applies here is mind-blowing.
Gasoline is an absolute miracle of energy density.
It really is.
It is essentially millions of years of compressed solar energy stored in a highly stable liquid form. It packs a staggering amount of potential kinetic energy into a very small, relatively lightweight volume.
So 6 gallons of gas hold a ton of energy.
Exactly. If these rescue companies wanted to provide the exact same equivalent amount of rescue power using a secondary portable lithium-ion battery bank instead of a gas generator, the physics change entirely.
How so?
That rescue van would have to carry thousands upon thousands of pounds of extra battery weight.
Because lithium-ion batteries, for all their advancements, are incredibly heavy and not very dense compared to a liquid hydrocarbon.
Exactly. A massive secondary battery bank is prohibitively heavy. It takes up the entire cargo footprint of the van. It costs an astronomical amount of money up front. And worst of all, it has a strict operational ceiling.
An operational ceiling? What do you mean by that?
Well, if your rescue van is entirely battery-powered and it goes out and rescues 2 or 3 stranded EVs, its own internal rescue battery is now completely depleted.
Oh, right. The rescuer needs rescuing.
Exactly. That van is suddenly out of commission. The driver has to pull out of the dispatch rotation, drive back to a headquarters, and plug the van into the grid for 4 to 6 hours just to recharge the rescue equipment.
Which completely destroys the core economics of a 247 emergency dispatch service. If you are running an ambulance, you can't have it sit idle for 5 hours after every 2 trips. You need continuous uptime.
Exactly. This is why the 6.1-gallon tank of gas is the great equalizer.
It makes sense.
One single tank on the Everett Hero yields enough generated electricity to handle between 5 to 10 separate charging sessions.
Wow, off just 6 gallons?
Right. That enables highly efficient, continuous back-to-back dispatching. A technician can go out, perform 8 separate rescues across the city, pull into any standard corner gas station, spend exactly 3 minutes pumping 6 gallons of gas into the generator, and immediately get right back on the road to save the next EV.
The uptime is practically infinite.
Exactly. A purely battery-powered rescue van simply cannot compete with that operational cadence.
So it is the ultimate pragmatic compromise. The 200-pound weight of the gas generator makes the entire operation hypermobile, allowing smaller, vastly cheaper vans to do the exact same job that used to require massive, expensive, heavy-duty trucks.
Precisely.
But there's another technical hurdle here. I can hear someone thinking, well, if it's just a gas generator, why can't I just buy a cheap $500 generator from a hardware store, throw it in the trunk of my EV, and charge myself?
That is a critical point, and it comes down to power quality. Electric vehicles are not simple appliances. They are basically rolling supercomputers. They actively monitor the electricity flowing into them. The power coming out of a cheap hardware store generator is often very dirty.
Dirty power.
Yes, meaning the electrical waveform is jagged, inconsistent, and fluctuates wildly.
Okay.
If you plug an EV into that, the onboard computers will instantly detect the instability. They will physically reject the charge to protect the highly sensitive battery chemistry.
They just refuse to take it.
Exactly. Or worse, if the power does get through, those fluctuations could permanently damage the vehicle's expensive internal power inverters.
Ah, so it's not just about raw power, it's about the refinement of that power.
Exactly. The engineering marvel of the Everett Hero isn't just the engine, it's the alternator and the inverter technology paired with it.
It cleans the power up.
It does. It produces exceptionally clean power, operating with less than 3% total harmonic distortion, or THD. Right. It essentially mimics the smooth, pure sine wave of the established electrical grid. That ultra-low THD is the magic key that allows a vibrating, noisy gas generator to interface seamlessly and safely with the hypersensitive protective architecture of a modern electric vehicle.
So we now fully understand the massive mechanical problem on the highway. We've examined the regional proof of concept carved out on the I-5 corridor by pioneers like Mopower2U.
Yep.
And we know the deeply ironic, physics-driven, highly refined gasoline technology that makes the actual power transfer possible.
The Everett Hero.
Exactly. Now, we can look at how this entire ecosystem is being packaged up, franchised, and aggressively expanded across the entire nation.
And that transition from a regional solution to a national infrastructure play is being spearheaded by the emergence of e-rescue.
E-rescue.
Yes. They are positioning themselves as America's very first comprehensive nationwide mobile EV roadside assistance network.
The business strategy they are deploying here is fascinating.
Yeah.
E-rescue serves as the corporate umbrella, right?
Correct.
They've clearly defined their network structure to scale rapidly. Sacramento Mobile EV Charging serves as their foundational vendor, effectively proving the model in California.
Yeah.
Then Mopower2U, the veterans from the Pacific Northwest, who practically invented the modern version of this service. They serve as their seasoned network partner.
A smart alliance.
And EV Road Hero, the manufacturer of the low THD gas generator we just discussed, is locked in as the exclusive technology partner.
It's a very solid foundation.
Together, they are already active in 4 major metropolitan hubs: Sacramento, Portland, the Seattle-Tacoma area. And they've already made the leap all the way across the country to establish a beachhead in Atlanta, Georgia.
What is truly compelling is how they are achieving this geographical spread. They aren't trying to organically build out and hire fleets of vans in every city themselves.
That would cost a fortune.
Exactly. They are actively franchising the model. eRescue is actively recruiting independent local vendors to take over entirely new territories. They are essentially selling a turnkey business-in-a-box solution for the EV era.
It is the exact same playbook as a massive fast food franchise. I mean, if you want to open a successful burger joint, you don't spend years inventing a menu and designing industrial kitchens.
No, you sign a franchise agreement.
Exactly. The corporate office sends you the exact specialized fryers, they hand you the proprietary recipe for the special sauce, they build your website, and they feature you in their national advertising campaigns.
Right.
eRescue is doing exactly that for roadside assistance.
Yes, they are.
If you want to become the tech savior of